What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Hybrid Radio Podcast. Thank you. That's the audience cheering. It's been a long time since I said anything, but they're still energetic just as much as before. Thank you. All right, let's cut the minutes down. All right, thank you, everybody. Thank you. All right, this is your friend Jarrell here on the Hybrid Radio Podcast. And unfortunately, I don't have a co-host, which I'll mention that in a second. But also, it's been a long time since I did a podcast for you guys, so I know you guys have been aching to hear some new stuff from me. So, let's see what's going on today. Mark, my trusty snarky Mark sidekick, is not with us. I'll explain why. So, this is what's been going on since I've been gone. Just had a baby. My wife, Mrs. S, and I just had a baby last month. So had to take a little break, as I said in the podcast last time, to see how that would work out. Little kid with us now, about a month and a half. So 3 kids, you got to prioritize family and then you guys second. Unfortunately, that's what they said. So that's what I'm doing. And also, right when we were about to start doing shows again, my, like I said, snarky Mark decided he would like to pursue other interests, so he told me kind of out the blue that he will not be doing podcasts anymore. Possibly he can help me in other ways, but he did not want to do the shows anymore. So unfortunately, it'll just be me for now. So I was a little bit bummed about that. I was like, how am I going to keep doing this show by myself? It's kind of uncomfortable just talking to you guys by myself. And what makes the podcast great, and also even the reviews we do for the album reviews, it's nice to get 2 different perspectives on that, or even 3 when we were doing before with our other co-hosts, Big League Stu, back last year. So I was thinking to myself, maybe this is not something I want to do anymore. But then I thought to myself, you guys, I don't want to let you guys down. And also I want to pursue this passion I have of reviewing albums and telling you guys what I think of them. So I said, we must go on. We must pursue. We must continue doing this. So that meant I have to do a little bit of changing of the formats. So for one thing, there's new plans. I'm going to start broadening the topics on these shows, ranging from things like movies to TV shows that we'll try to give a little critique on and reviews of here and there. And I'll talk about how I feel about, because Netflix, for example, is bringing out some new shows. I'll be talking about that. Also, movies I go see when I have a chance to get out of the house. And also, we'll talk more about current events. Like, how on our show we do our news stuff. We'll do some more news, but I'll try to do that as well and put some videos up for that for you on the YouTube channel. But with all that going on, unfortunately, that means there'll be less album reviews for a while until I get a replacement. I still plan to do a top 10 of 2017 when the year is over, but there'll be less albums that you actually get my opinion on throughout the year. But at the end of the year, you'll be able to know what I liked and didn't like. Basically, when you hear my top 10, maybe I'll do a bottom 10 as well, or bottom 5 as the years come on. Also, as you guys might have been listening, I've been doing some concert reviews here and there. I did one for Fishbone and one also for the Me First Gimme Gimmes that you can see on our YouTube channel. But I will do more of those, of course, but I'm going to have more guests come in to help me out, not just with that, but also when I have guests come in to do some of our reviews as well. So like the one we're going to have today, which I'll tell you about in a second. And also while they're here, why not? They can come promote some of their talents and things like that, or whatever else they're doing. So I want to take this time to thank everybody out there for subscribing to our channel and sticking with us through all this. And I plan also to update our website in the coming, maybe in the fall, because as you can see, our website has been pretty inactive for a while. Most of the stuff has been on our YouTube channel, but I'm hoping to put more stuff on that. And I'll be putting out some more music reviews here and there as the months go on. And also, finally, I'm looking to, like I said earlier, I'm looking for some new co-hosts and things like that. So I'll be putting on an ad for that in the future. But basically, to let you guys know right now, if you want to get in and jump on it, this one, I'm looking for people that are passionate about music, different kind of music to talk about, as well as, most importantly, they need to be reliable. Meaning, being able to do a show every week and listen to the albums and be able to do it. Actually, I won't say every week. Maybe we do shows 3 times a month, maybe less with the kids, but I'll try to work things out. So getting all that aside, how's everybody doing out there? That's good. All right, let me get to my guests real quick to tell you guys what's going on today. First of all, I got the one and only Dan from Recourse Records, and he's in the band called Don't Lose Your Dinosaur, local band that plays here in our lovely, what'd you say, Central Jersey, we'll say? Central Jersey area.
Central Jersey, right.
That's right. Dan's been on the show a few times, and I think you're going to actually, I've interviewed him in his previous band, Triple Disaster, a few years back, so you probably are winning, like, most guest spots on all my reviews and all my podcasts and everything like that. So you're catching up there. Maybe you'll be on another one, because I brought him here today because we're going to get into this new Rancid album that came out last month and give our feedback on what we think of it. Also, I mentioned him before outside. I'm going to talk about the new 311 concert I went to and see how you guys think of actually seeing 311. If anyone ever seen them before or knows who they are, I'll give you my insight on how that particular surprise show was. I'll tell you about that in a little bit. And also, me and Dan are kind of Facebook buddies, so I've been noticing you like to get onto Facebook a lot and voice your opinion about things. And
that's right, yeah.
With this summer coming around, we had the Warped Tour that comes through the area, and I noticed a particular band that played in the Warped Tour that's, I'm assuming you're a fan of, the Dickies.
The Dickies, yeah.
Had a little incident, I would say, last month, in one of their stops that we'll talk about. It's been pretty much paralyzing and putting two different perspective of people, how they feel about what happened, and what side they take, whether it's punk or not and everything like that. So I saw you have taken a pretty, I would say, unorthodox side of the whole thing. So I think what we're going to do on that when we get that portion is you're really going to be able to sell like your opinion of why you think, they were right in the whole situation.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know about that, we'll get that in a second. But I'll give you the whole backstory in that, and Dan will give that as well.
Yep.
Unfortunately, no emails tonight, so we'll have a quick show for you guys, and I see we're making some good time. That's pretty much everything going on. So tonight, drinking some, not the Captain, we're talking about, I'm drinking some rum and Coke from the old Admiral Nelson to, loosen me up a bit, because this is going to be kind of a tricky show for me, because it's no co-host, so it's weird to bounce off things. But let me ask you this: how is your summer going, Dan? How's it going?
Good, very good. It's going by so quick, as usual. Just trying to go out to as many shows as I can. I went to Puck Rock Bowling. That was great.
Okay.
So yeah, so far so good. I'm looking forward to the other shows this summer too. And actually, it's been long overdue. My family's going to Italy. That's where my
are they going to bring you along, or like you got a house sit basically party at Dan's, like a big like backyard show, right? Or are you going to?
No, I'm going to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
If you need me to house sit for you and like throw a party, let me know.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, no. So far so good. Like, I hate when the summer. I hate when it goes by so fast, because I love the summer. Some people I know, they hate the summer because it's so hot.
Yeah.
They prefer the cold, but I've always been all about the warm weather. So
I hear you, man. I hear you.
Yeah.
And actually, how's summer been going with you own Recourse Records? You promoted that before on one of our podcasts, but that's actually your record label where you're signing bands and basically playing shows down the street at the DeSico's bar. How's that going?
Good. Actually, for forever since its beginning, it's been called Recourse Records, but we never really released any records. It was always all about putting on shows.
Yeah.
And just recently, me and my friend Eric, actually the guitar player in my other band, Sophistipunks, he works at a studio in River Edge called NJ Sound, and we're working on something where we're going to make a compilation record with...
Oh, man, I love compilation. I remember those back in the days.
Yeah, so we're talking about some bands, and definitely Sophistipunks, Don't Lose Your Dinosaur, Nerve Damage. I'm sure you know them, They're going to be on it. So those guys so far. And this is going to be an official release. This is going to be the first Recourse Records actual release.
Okay.
And followed by an EP by Sophistipunks. So it's very exciting, because now it's going to be like a real label, So
now you're going to start releasing records down the road. Okay.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. So So yeah, it's pretty cool.
All
So,
right. And also, the show's been going a lot in DeSico's. I'm seeing now DeSico's is a bar down the street in Raritan, New Jersey, and that went from being a dive bar, and you guys have reformed it into now it's like a pretty much a punk or a rock club basically.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, Mike Carbone, all the credit goes to him because he's ever since he moved back to New Jersey, he's been kind of the bar manager. He's not the owner, but he's kind of like the guy that works there the most. He kind of makes all the decisions as far as the shows go.
Yeah,
he doesn't book all the shows, but as far as like what goes and what doesn't go, he's kind of in charge, now. So
yeah.
And we finally, if you remember, there was that pool table that was like obstructing people from like standing and things like that.
Okay.
So that's gone now.
Yeah.
So yeah, like we got some new lights, so and last night I hosted a show. I wasn't playing, I hosted a show.
Okay.
And it was a cover band. This cover band right here, Seattle Sound Machine.
Okay.
And they're really cool. They're like a 90s cover band. They played all like the alternative, like hard rock stuff from back then,
Yeah, we need more cover bands around here. We only got Me First, Gimme Gimme's, and another band that's around here. I can't remember the name. Do you remember the name of the band that plays like once a month there? They play like more modern like stuff, but it's like
right.
It's like a punkish band, but
I can't think of
something
it,
about the Mr. T and clubbing, something like that. I hate to say that I can't remember it, but they're probably screaming it right now. Everybody that's listening to the podcast, but I'm probably gonna have them on at some point in the show because I actually have some footage of them playing at the Seagulls, and they do a good job as well. But I gotta check out that band, Seattle Sound Machine. And now, do they do only Seattle '90s bands? They do like all different.
Oh no, all the famous hits from the '90s. But like all like the more rock and roll stuff. So like
I won't hear a Natalie and Brugia cover, I guess. Huh?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Right. So it was a lot of like they even played Green Day, even though they played more of like the hard rock stuff. You know, like Tool and like Rage Against the Machine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like all the alternative stuff. So they played some, Pearl Jam too. Sublime they even played. So it's really all the stuff that you remember from basically when radio was good.
Yeah.
The only time it was, kind of good in our lifetime. I mean,
Yeah.
So, so anyway, yeah. So another thing we started doing at the Seacoast was we're charging now at the door.
Oh man, how's that working out?
Yeah, I know. It was something me and Mike were fearing because like forever, like the Seacoast was known for like free shows, But we're doing this completely for the bands. It's not about making the promoter extra money.
Okay.
Because the promoter got the money from a percentage of the bar, what the bar made that night. So like nothing's really being taken away from the promoter. This is completely just for the bands,
Okay.
So, and it worked out great actually. No one complained. No one like was like, "Oh man, you guys are charging now," So that was great, And it's just $5,
Yeah.
instead of like $10 or something like that. So we're starting at that, and so far so good, So.
Now, what makes this like when you're charging? This takes me back, like we probably talked before about like the show they used to have around here at the Hamilton Street
Cafe,
for example,
right,
and all the local bands would play there, and they charge like $3 to $5 to $7 depending on how popular they were. The same thing.
Exactly right.
Now you're trying to get that same thing. How do you think that's going to be like tough since all these bands are new and that was a whole different era of our time? People now look at that like, I don't know who this is. Why am I paying $5 to see this?
Exactly. So it's so funny you say that because I thought about that all of last night. Was wow, this takes me back to when I booked shows at Hamlin Street because I started Recourse in like 2006, and I was booking at Hamlin Street and back then it was like I had to charge at the door because the rental fee was so much for Friday and Saturday nights that like I there was no way I could just let people come in for free, And plus there was no bar, so there was no other way to make money anyway, So it's funny you say that because it really took me back to that time, and it really is funny how we kind of our attitude changed along the years where it's all about this, everything is for free, A matter of 10 years ago, we were okay with paying like $10 and that was nothing. And now nowadays me and Mike were fearing, charging just $5, So it's kind of ironic, but like me, I'm glad we took the risk because it was well worth it. And now going forward, I think more bands are going to want to come back more often because honestly, there have been some bands that like don't return our emails anymore because I think it's because we like never paid them, and I completely understand that because I'm in a band and I know what that's like. But unfortunately, it's because the Seagulls is finally getting on the map, kind of. So it's kind of like now we're getting to that point where people know about it, and we want to like keep them coming back, not driving them away. So.
Okay. Well, I actually would like to get out to one of the shows sometime, and I don't mind paying the $5 since I've been there before and done it.
Yeah.
But but then also does the before the bands were like playing for free, but they would drink for free. So now it's like they drink for free and they get paid, or is it?
Well, right. So so we would always like do something for the band, like either they would drink because we couldn't pay them so much, so we either. Would let them drink for free, or sometimes, we would, if it was a really great show, we'd be able to afford to pay them with what we made at the bar,
Yeah.
So we try to do the best we could, but right. So now I think it's going to be like, we're just giving them the income from the door, and that's all theirs, So the promoter doesn't take anything, the bartender doesn't take anything from that. It's just completely to for the bands.
Okay.
So
awesome, man.
Yeah,
That's cool. And we're actually going to talk about one of your bands in a second, but to do things a little different on this podcast, the first one, usually we do the reviews last, but I think we're going to do the reviews first, and then we'll go backwards and see how that works out. Just in this case, so we're not, because I know I brought you on here for the first thing, so we might as well, which ends up usually is the last thing, so we'll get that out of the way. And to do that, let me make sure I remind you how the rating system works, since the website takes long to update. But basically how it goes like this, for all your new listeners out there, it goes, the rating system is not numbers or letters, it's just sayings. So the top one is praise this. That means the album is like, a gift from heavens above. It's so incredible. You should love it forever, and it's going to be timeless, whatever. So sweet. Right. Next lower thing is buy this, which means, it's a really good album. It's worth your money. Go out and purchase it however you buy music. Next one lower is download this, which means it's not worth the money, but it's worth the listen. So find some way to listen to it for free. A lot of you millennials out there and younger people probably just do that for everything. Right. But I'm saying if you there's some good songs on there or some not, blah, blah. Under that, you got skip this, which means there's no good songs on it, so it's not worth hearing. And then under that is fuck this, which means it's so bad that you're actually angry that the album exists entirely, and you want to murder whoever had this abomination happen to you. It wasted years of your life, or the however long it took you to listen to it, blah, blah, blah. So, just give me 1 second here. All right, there. We're going to review the new Rancid album, and with me is my guest host, Dan from Recourse Records. Thank you for doing this for me, Dan, and I appreciate this.
Of course, no problem. And thanks for
being
having
a big Rancid fan. This will work out really well for both of us.
That's right.
Now, Rancid's new album called Troublemaker. They're an East Bay, California punk band. They formed in 1991 from the singer-guitarist Tim Armstrong and Matt Freeman, who plays bass, after their band Operation Ivy broke up, the ska band that broke up in 1989. And after they released their self-titled album in 1983, Lars Fredriksson joined the band, and they put out that second album, and he became the second vocalist and guitarist for the group. In 1995, the band dropped the ska-influenced record And Out Come the Wolves, which is considered by many to be their best work. But as a fan, I disagree a little bit, but that's neither here or there. And over the years, Rancid has released albums that bled into other musical genres with their punk rock sound, like, for example, 1998's album Life Won't Wait, featuring some reggae and rockabilly tracks. Got 2009's Let the Dominoes Fall, which has some folk acoustic guitar songs here and there. Now, it's been 3 years since their last album, Honor Is All We Know. Initially, when they put that album out, they put out some preview tracks like Collision Course and Evil's My Friend. And I was fucking excited for this. But when I actually heard the entire album, I found it a little dull and uninspiring. So with this 9th album, I was like, let me be a little cautious before I get excited about it. Now, Little known fact about myself is I'm a big Rancid fan. I've been one for like over 20 years. And personally, I think their first album as a 3-piece is a street punk masterpiece. So I've been following the group for so long. You guys know my rating for this record will be legit.
That's right.
So, and as for you, Dan, I feel you listened to him for quite a while.
That's right. That's right. I love East Bay punk. I love East Bay punk. Yeah. Like Operation Ivy. I love Operation Ivy. I'm a big Green Day fan. You know, like all the music from California, I love. You know, so
yeah,
man.
So you like and I'll Come the Wolves just as their best album? You think so?
Well, you know, like I'm also a big hardcore punk fan, and actually, well, to be honest with you, my favorite record is actually this new record.
Okay.
But before that, it was the self-titled one. You know, the one that came out in 2000?
Right.
The one that was like just every song was like really fast. You know?
Yeah, their second self-titled album. Yeah.
That was my favorite. But, I mean, I guess I'm already jumping into the new record, but I love this new record, man.
Oh, you're gonna have to explain why. We're gonna have a little bit of debate on this one. This one actually starts exactly what Dan and me, I guess, we like. The first track is called Track Fast, which starts off the album. It's a quick minute-long song. Yeah. It's more of an intro because it's really short, and it kind of reminded me of a B-side song they wrote called Kill the Lights, which is similar to the tempo and the shortness of this one. Now, you just heard, I just referenced a B-side from Rancid, so big fan over here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, in true punk fashion, the songs on this album are like, you know, for the most part, I think they're only 3 minutes or 3 minutes and shorter.
Right.
And in true Rancid fashion, you got Tim Armstrong slurring his vocals on majority of the record. But
that's right.
Despite having that big grizzly beard he's got now, he still sounds the same as he did on the previous albums.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And going a little more into the album, one of the songs that was actually over 3 minutes I want to talk about is the song called Telegraph Avenue.
Right.
It's got like a slower tempo where it's like, you know, bam, 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 bam. It's like the rhyme scheme is very simplistic. And then those nanas, that was like, oh my God. Like for me, I thought that was like the worst use of nanas for a so-called chorus. Now, is that one of the examples of what makes the album so good to you?
No. Actually, not really. Like that song was just actually that was one of the songs that was just okay for me. You know, it was like it's very catchy and I'm not gonna say it's classic Rancid because it sounds more like the Dominoes record, you know, type style of writing. But no, like why I like the record so much is because like it has all the elements I like a Rancid in one record. I actually like the diversity of the record. Like I do like that song, Telegraph Avenue.
Okay,
but it's not, you know, my favorite off of there. You know?
Okay. Yeah, that one. As much as I hate to admit it, like every time I bitch about that, like Nana, I'm like, I can't get this out of my head. I hate it, but I can't get it out of my head. So it's like, I guess it works in a way, but I'm like, man, like it sucks, dude.
No. I know what you're saying because it's like, damn, it's working. Like what they intended worked technically.
Because you can write a better chorus than that, but it's like, nah. Nana is pretty like, you know, easy to remember.
Yeah.
In the middle of all this punk rock, which is where I don't see the diversity, they have the song Where I'm Going, which is like a ska song. And it's a typical catchy Rancid skanking influence track with Lars on vocals, and I think that song is definitely a foot tapper. That song reminds me of like Hooligans from
I was about to say, dude,
Life Won't Wait.
I'm glad
that's the ska stuff I remember them doing. And that song, I think it works really well. Yeah.
I'm glad you said that because that's actually my favorite song on the record.
Yeah.
I love that song, you know. And have you seen like the YouTube stuff they put out where it's basically the whole record?
Yeah.
And it's them playing it live.
Yeah. Well, that too I was going to talk about, but go ahead.
Sorry. If I'm going forward.
It's fine.
Yeah. It's cool to see Lars like dressed so conservatively. You know, he's dressed like really nice in the video, and he's like just going as hard as he was when he was younger. You know, it's kind of cool. You know.
Yeah, that song actually is, you know, going back to the 90s, and that's just the ska stuff that they are putting into all their albums now, which I think is pretty cool too. And actually, one of the songs, speaking of ska, the song Buddy has
Yeah,
an accordion on there, which
That's
I said
right.
you saw the video,
video,
and he's
that's right.
playing it.
That's
And
right.
the guy from the Interrupters, the guitarist, is playing an accordion. I never heard an
That's
accordion
right.
solo in a punk rock song before. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll
Yeah,
give you
yeah,
credit
yeah,
on that.
yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And then that guy comes back later.
That's
And he
right.
plays the piano on the like the more blue collared like rock
Yeah,
song.
that's
What's it
right.
called? Boulevard Rock and Roll.
Yes.
Do you like that song? That one's kind of seemed like on the border of selling out, but it's like
right.
I don't know.
No, I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah. It's very catchy. Right. It's like a very catchy, like actually more of just a straight up rock and roll song.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Hence the
You know?
name. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. And actually, that's what I like about Rancid too. I like that they write like really great. Like sounding songs, and it's not just like, I love their hardcore side too. I love that side of them, the street, punk side.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked how, in the mid to late '90s, they started to get more into like those big chorus like type songs.
Okay.
So yeah, I like the song for that. That it's
Okay.
very catchy. So but
I mean, it kind of is. I see what you're saying, and then at the same time, if you put on a song like Saint Mary from the album Let's Go, where it's like it's got a, or even like Time Bomb.
yeah,
That's kind of like got a catchy chord, but this song I can see like playing not just at like a punk like bar or dive bar. I see it like possibly on the radio. And
yes,
after
yes,
a
totally.
Bruce Springsteen song plays and they put that on, people won't be like, they'll be like, who is this?
Yeah,
but at the
yeah,
same
yeah.
time, and they'll be like, this is not weird to play it.
exactly.
Now, like I said, like Tim Armstrong's voice is same on this, but is unintelligible at times. But I think
Right.
like that, and with the hooks we were talking about on this album, they're clear and they'll get stuck in your head, like we were saying. And then it goes to like the hardcore stuff you were talking about, like "Say Goodbye to Our Heroes" is
That's
an
right.
example
That's right.
of like a song that'll get stuck in your head. "I Kept the Promise," like that.
Yeah,
That's pretty much the
yeah.
chorus, and that song at the same time easy to remember.
Exactly. Right.
I must say that the album has quite a few like the hardcore stuff you're talking about. Like example is All American Neighborhood and Make It Out Alive, and then the last song on the album, which is called This Is Not the End.
Right.
I love those songs. I definitely will keep
Yeah.
them on heavy rotation. As much as I see the enthusiasm in your face, I have to say that I found the album underwhelming to me, and I'll give you some reasons why.
Okay.
Like for a record that's got about 36 minutes long, it still felt like there were way too many songs to me, which is weird to say because it's really short. But it's like as it's going on, like it starts out really good. What's the Ghost of a Chance, and then you got the
Right.
other song, and I'm like, this is cool. And then once I get to the second half of it, some of the songs felt like kind of like, and then I don't remember how they went, and it's like, and I look, and I'm like, dude, I still got fucking 8 more songs to go.
Yeah.
God damn, it's just not gonna end. And for the most part, the songs, they seem unfinished to me because they end too soon, and I know it's punk rock, you guys, to like have like a quick minute and a half cut, but
Right.
it's got to be natural. Like, and Ghost for a Chance is an example of what I'm talking about because that song could have been a little bit longer than it was. Also, my second issue is similar to the last album, Honors Is All We Know. These songs come off so effortless to me. It sounds like Rancid, but they're pushing less boundaries than before. So I don't see how you're saying they're putting everything together because this one seemed like they can just put out songs without even like trying to me. And I mean, for fuck's sakes, there's one goddamn ska song on the album. One fucking ska song. Like, what was the point of making a ska song if it's gonna be one? Like, at least that album I don't really like so much. Out Come the Wolves has like 3, and that one I felt was effortless because it felt like that album was like we had this hardcore like let's go album, and now we're gonna slow the tempo down, throw some quick ska songs on there, and then boom, everyone fucking loves it. But
Right.
that's how I feel about that. And my biggest fucking problem with this album has to be ever since And Out Come the Wolves, why doesn't Matt have lead vocals anymore? The bass player.
Oh, okay.
Is there some reason his badass gravelly voice has been regulated to just one verse per album or backing vocals? This album, he says like a line on the first song, track fast, here and there, and he's got the chorus on the song All American Neighborhood. Right. That's it. That's all the lead vocals he gets. And the same thing on the last album, the same thing on Out Come the Wolves, the same thing on what's the one after in Out Come the Wolves? I mean, and Life Won't.
Let me see.
Indestructible. That's it.
Right, Indestructible.
He doesn't sing a fucking verse on any of those albums, and it's like, what the fuck's the problem? It's usually I'll say he's more of a bass player, and people say he's like the best bass player around. And on this particular album, he does good. He does really good on his bass lines here and there on a song, but I felt like he needs to fucking sing some more. I don't know what the problem is. Why they're not letting him sing vocals anymore. Yeah, totally. And that's getting on my fucking nerves, dude. And I get excited for an album. He sings on one album, like you mentioned. He didn't sing on one album. Then he sings on the next one, the one that was self-titled. Sings a lot on that one.
Yeah,
the second
he sings
one.
a lot on that one.
Then next album he doesn't sing. Then the next album he does. And now like 2 albums in a row he don't sing at all. That's my biggest issue. Right. This album to me feels like it's the exact same as the last one. Honor's All We Know, and it's just you could put those 2 albums together and it's the same flow. Basically, it's the same thing. This is back basically the Hangover 2 of Rancid albums. It's like they didn't put
same thing.
It's the same thing again.
Same formula. Yeah.
So that's my thing. I want you to actually rebuttal me on that, and then if you want to give your rating on that. But go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So, I think it's interesting because I think like I have like a different perspective because probably since I play music and I'm in a band, because I used to like when I was a teenager just starting to play music, I used to be like I would get disappointed a lot, with new records because it's like, oh man, it doesn't sound like their old stuff, like, oh, they're letting me down, like it's not the kind of songwriting I want, and this and that. But then when you're in a band, you start to realize, and when you get older, you start to realize why bands change and why their sound changes and things like that. Mm-hmm. And like what you were saying about like, it's kind of like they did this effortlessly. Like I see that perspective, but I like when bands do that because it's like they're almost just doing what comes so natural to them that like it's almost like they're doing it for the fans. Honestly, when I heard this record, I did think like they were thinking more about the fans than selling a lot of like hits or something like that.
Okay, I can see that. Which is the same thing as I felt on a previous album. Both albums, I feel like they're like, let's just do what we do, and we'll see. And obviously, the people that like us will continue to like us. But what is the point where you're like, either I want to bring new people to us, or I want to bring back the people that were from the get go? Right. It's like they care about either one of those things. It's just like we put an album out, whatever happens, happens.
Exactly. I'm starting to see that the bands that are like going on like their 20-year like anniversary, like bands like Rancid and bands like like all the 90s bands really, that they're starting to put out records now that are really I think that, they're doing it for themselves now, not so much they're caring so much about grabbing new people because they've been around so long that I think they can get away with anything now.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. So you're basically saying with this album, not only in the beginning of the review, you said that you hear everything they've done has been crushed into this like 36-minute album.
Yeah.
But you're also saying that they're keeping to what comes to them. They're keeping with their roots, so to speak.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what would you actually rate this in the end of the day?
So, so what was the second best?
You would say Buy This? You think it's a Buy This album?
Yeah.
All right, he's going with Buy This.
Yep.
All right, thank you, Dan. Let me give you mine, and I hear what you're saying. I appreciate what your thoughts. Yeah. Now,
would you mind if I get another beer?
In a second. Let me just give this in real quick. Actually,
here we
slide this over here.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Nice.
So, Rancid seems content with no longer pushing the envelope, like I said, when making music, which would be fine if they wanted to follow the blueprints of their older stuff. I'm sorry to say this, like if they wanted to like put out another Let's Go, they want to put out another self-titled from 2000, I'd be fucking fine with that because I'm getting matte vocals, I'm getting some hard hitting bass lines, I'm getting some punk rock, which is what I got into the band in the first place. At least those albums had some memorable songs to me, and I hate to say it, but this album does have some songs I remember, but it's got a lot more that I don't. So I'm going to say that it's just another safe album and somewhat forgettable to me. I'm gonna give this album a download. This, I think it's just another okay album, and if this is what Rancid wants to do from now on, I can't fight it. Unfortunately, you're missing out on having a great third vocalist on an album. You know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you don't mind me saying something about that, I forgot to say about Matt. It could. Oh yeah, and coming from like a band perspective, being in a band, it could be that it's not necessarily like they're like, oh, we don't like Matt's vocals. It could be that when you write a song, like you think like, okay, maybe it fits better if Lars sings it or just Tim sings it, or it could be, for all we know, maybe Matt doesn't want to sing anymore. For all we know,
unfortunately, I'm thinking it's the latter.
Yeah,
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments if you actually heard any Rancid album, what you think of it, or if you want to send us an email on if you have more to say, we appreciate that. Give us your rating and your review. We appreciate that as well. Hold on a second. Cool. So everything's going so far according to plan. Now I am going to need a beer myself since I just gave you mine. Got my beer now, and before we get to the second thing I want to talk about with Dan, let's talk about your new band, Don't Lose My Dinosaur. Which
don't lose your dinosaur.
It's your dinosaur, not my dinosaur.
Right.
I want to know how'd you come with that name?
Right. Okay, so, well, first of all, do you recognize the saying at all, by any chance?
Don't lose your dinosaur. Is that from Jurassic Park 3?
No. Well, it's from a movie, so you're close. Yeah, it's a quote in Step Brothers. With Will Ferrell and what's his name?
Oh, you're talking about the John Riley.
John Riley.
Okay.
John
do you
Riley,
find that using quotes from movies as a band name, like is like a kiss of death, as opposed to like if it's a song title, like when 4 Years Strong does it? Like, are you trying to make the band like so I see some bands like, for example, Pearl Jam you mentioned before,
right?
Used to be called Mookie Blaylock, which was like a really short basketball player from the Charlotte Hornets, I believe, in the 90s.
Right.
And obviously, Pearl Jam is more catchier than naming your band after a person. But that's a quick example I can think of. A lot of bands, when you look on their Wikipedia, you found out they were called something different, like back in the day, and then they got like a better name, with the exception of Fall Out Boy. But.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, the thing with band names is that it's so hard to come up with a band name, so damn hard that I think what happens is when you first get one of those moments where everyone agrees, you're like, okay, we're gonna stick with that,
Yeah.
And the way this kind of came about was we were just, I think every band does this. They just kind of start saying names, and then there's that moment where they're like, that's it,
Yeah.
And we were just being silly and talking about different movies, and then
it always helps to pick an obscure line too, because I don't remember them even saying that in the movie.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So what it is it's the scene from the movie where it's towards the end where Dale and the other brother, they're trying to prove to the dad and the mom that they're not just like these hopeless man children.
Yeah.
So it's a very silly movie, and the dad goes on about how he might be a doctor and he turned out successful, but he always wanted to be a dinosaur. And like so here's this like this father that's disappointed at his children that are adult and that are adults, but they can't fend for themselves. And he's telling them how he always wanted to be a dinosaur, and that basically even though it's so unachievable, it's like don't give up on the dream, no matter how unachievable it is. So that's kind of the point. It's no matter what.
So it means something to you. It's more than just like silly thing.
Yeah. So
that's good.
So it's like basically no matter how silly your dreams are, do it anyway, because like you never know.
That's very inspiring to me as well with this whole show we're doing.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. All right. And then my second question, I would like to get the band on sometime, and then we'll do a full-fledged interview when you guys got shows coming up. The other thing I want to know, so that we'll get these bullshit questions out the way, and then it's like we'll get into more better ones.
Man. Yeah.
You guys, your singer seems like since I've seen the other three before,
right?
the singer is really what brings out the talent of the group,
Absolutely,
vocally,
absolutely,
as well as
absolutely.
like guitar playing.
Absolutely.
And at the moment I heard you guys play, you sound a lot like Alkaline Trio, like a lot.
Right,
And I've been
right.
harping on your drummer Mike about that because
Yeah,
apparently
yeah.
as much as he's a fan of the band, he doesn't want to be like pegged as like a rip off of his favorite group.
Right,
Which is
right.
ironic. Some people would be like, oh, you sound like your favorite group. I
That's
feel that would
awesome,
be like,
yeah.
like a compliment, but he
Right.
feels weird about it.
Right.
Is that what you guys are going for, like to sound like them, or does he naturally sound like Matt Skiba? Yeah.
Right, exactly, right. Well, it's ironic because when we met him, which was only a year ago, he had all these songs already written, and it's funny because he was looking for guys like us that were ready to start a band with him, and we were just going to play his songs. Really, the band is like, it's not like Chernobyl or even my other band, Sophistipunks, where it's a collaborative effort where we all write the songs together.
Yeah.
One guy does the lyrics, one guy does the music, and so on and so forth. This is like, it's Chris's. Like the way I think of it almost is like, we're the backup band and Chris is like the lead guy, because he writes all the songs, all the lyrics, and really he's like he's a true front man,
Okay.
So so the sound, it just so happens that it turns out that way. Like Chris is heavily influenced by them, by Alkaline Trio, and so is Mike. But that was a complete coincidence, actually. It's funny because Anthony, Mike, and Chris are all big Alkaline Trio fans, and not that I dislike them. I like them. I think they're cool, but I don't know about. I don't know.
The bass player's look, so I'm surprised.
Yeah. I know. Right? He's bald, right?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And that's right. Then Matt, like, he's starting to lose his hair, so it's like he's almost bald.
Yeah.
But anyway, like, it was one of those bands where I never I never heard too many records. Not that I didn't want to. It's just I never heard too many records. But like the three of them alone, they're kind of like bringing that influence out. But like it's just a coincidence because Chris writes everything. So it's like, it just so happened that he's a fan.
Yeah.
So right, so it wasn't intentional. It just so happened to turn out that way. Yeah.
So is it weird, like you can't put any 2 cents into any song? He tells you exactly your bass lines. He tells the drummer exactly what fills to do.
Okay. Well, right. Like that is the true fashion of like being a backup band, but no, it's not. It's not that strict. It's basically where he'll record the song on his phone, like him singing and him playing guitar, and then he'll play it for us, and then I'm allowed to write the bass line. Anthony's the lead guitar player, so he writes solos, and Mike, the drum parts aren't created yet, so he creates the drum parts. So yeah, we do technically create our own parts, but like the root notes and the melodies, they're already created. So we work around Chris. But no. It's not like Chris is this guy that's like, play it this way. Like he'll say like, I got an idea for this, but like usually he lets us kind of like,
Okay.
And Chris has said
he's not the dictator of the group. It's just he's got the songs written. So what if you guys came with a song to him? Would he be like, "Oh, that's cute," and just like roll it up?
See,
and stuff?
It's funny. I thought at first that might be the case, but and I didn't even bother asking him. He just said at one point, like, if you guys have songs, you could totally bring them to the table. It's funny because the three of us, we never have. And I think it might be because we're like, Chris kind of knows what he's doing, so we don't want to mess with that formula, because like Sophistipunks, for example, you can't classify that band with just one genre. Sometimes we're hardcore punk, sometimes we're like ska, sometimes we're pop punk,
Okay.
But with Don't Lose Your Dinosaur, that's just like pop punk, and it's like, I kind of like it where it's like we're just sticking with one genre instead of like, well, I mean, we did do a ska song, but I'm saying like it's in that vein of like poppy kind of melodies,
Okay.
So, like for example, if I were to write a song for the band, it might be too hardcore or something like that, or too fast. So like that's why I think I'm kind of letting Chris kind of do his thing, you know. So
it's easier that way anyway,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
Sometimes being a backing band is not too hard.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
just
yeah.
show up to your rehearsals, do exactly
exactly.
what they tell you to do, and collect the check.
Yeah.
Thanks. All right, so that knocks out those questions. So when I get you guys on a podcast, I'll just breeze right through those.
Right.
Or they might have different insight on that as well. All right, so we're going to get to the news portion of the show in a second. Hold on, let me just set this camera up for
Oh,
you.
yeah, of course, no problem.
Oh, we actually recorded all that. That's okay. So, it's summer, as we said, and that means the Warped Tour is trudging around America. It made it stop actually in our hometown or home state, Homedale, in New Jersey. A couple yesterday actually. Got all these bands now.
Oh, okay.
Like
Oh, that's right. There was a Warped Tour yesterday.
yeah,
that's right.
usually
that's
it's like, Kevin Lyman's Warped Tour. He started since like 1995. Was mostly like punk rock, things like that. And as the years went on, I would say after 2007, started getting more like metalcore bands, things like that, and less punk bands, more like, poppy bands, but more emo bands, more metal bands.
Right.
And a lot of people are from our generation or older are complaining about that, and they don't go as much, so they got the more younger people going.
That's right.
And then this last year, I saw that they brought back some more ska bands like Less Than Jake, Real Big Fish, things like that, to like even it out a little bit, new and old. And they're doing the same thing this year. And this year they had like Gwar on the band. They on this tour they had a Bad Cop. They're a new or a punk band.
Right.
They had Sick of It All. They're a hardcore band from like New York that we grew up on.
Right.
And bringing it back to like the 70s, they brought the Dickies on the tour with them. And if you guys don't know who the Dickies are, they are an American punk rock band from Los Angeles. They came out in 1977. Dan is actually a big fan of them,
That's right.
Despite the fact that you weren't even a thought when they came
That's
out.
right. That's right.
They've been labeled as more of a pop, punk, bubblegum pop band.
That's right.
So they have a lot of fun with their music, kind of like Adolescence kind of thing. But
That's right.
I was trying to like think of what they sound like that was like in their group of punk bands from that time.
Right. Well,
I don't want to say Ramones, that's too old, but like in the
What
late
about-
70s, early 80s, they sound like what?
I got the perfect band. What about the Buzzcocks? You know the Buzzcocks, right?
Okay, that was a good
sounds,
example.
It sounds just like them.
They sound like an American version of the Buzzcocks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was about to say, like, I always considered the Buzzcocks were they started pop punk, they were the first UK pop punk band ever. And the Dickies, in my opinion, is the first ever American pop punk band.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
good thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they came out. The Dickies were like they came out to the Dam, and they were the first punk band to appear on a network television show.
That's right.
And the first California punk rock band to be signed to a major label. So that might tie into what we're going on to. Is that's when they label bands as selling out to signing to major labels. Like they were the pioneers of that.
yeah.
Now, their style of music has been campy and humorous, so they have a lot of like funny, like jokey songs that are like tongue-in-cheek humor. And a lot of people might not know them, but they are famous for writing the hit song "Killer Clowns from Outer Space" from the popular and mainstream movie "Killer Clowns from Outer Space" from 1988. Now they have about 7 albums they put out, and so anyway, Kevin Lyman thought it would be a good idea to put them on a tour. For Warped Tour this year, and what ended up happening is there was a little incident that happened at Denver where they were seen on Twitter. Someone posted a video of them of one of the singers, whose name is Leonard Graves Phillips, yelling at a young girl in the audience and cursing at her at verbatim and saying very misogynistic things to her.
Right.
And it's been causing this whole uproar on the internet where people are picking sides, like, hey, like it's wrong to objectify women like he did. And then it's like, hey, this is punk rock. This is what you're expecting. So we got Dan here from Recourse Records and also other punk bands to weigh in on this, because you actually have one of the more less opinionated sides of this. So if you guys don't know, the whole story is people were seeing like the video first and reacting to it, and then as days went on, you were getting more like backstory to what actually happened.
Right.
So I'm going to actually tell you guys the full story, and you guys can let me know. We'll discuss it in a second. So, yeah, everybody's putting up memes saying like I stand with the Dickies and stuff like that on Facebook, and feminists and fans and other people are saying the complete opposite. So some background is, let's see, the women in the crowd on the receiving end of Phillips' rant was a friend of the War on Women, which is a feminist punk group that was on the Warped Tour. She was not a Warped Tour attendee as people originally thought, but touring with the Women on War on Women as part of a group's Safe Scenery, a product the band created to prevent harassment and violence at shows, particularly against women, minors, and minorities. In protest of the Dickies' often offensive shtick, she held up a sign in the audience that read, quote, "Teen girls deserve respect, not gross jokes from disgusting old men. Punk should not be predatory." So when he saw that, that's when you see the clip of the video that people are posting. So his response was, and I'll clean it up so there's not so much beeping when we put this on. He said, kiss it, you bitch. I have effed farm animals that were prettier than you effing hog. He then led a chant of blow me with the crowd as they were, singing back. And then he says, how does it feel to get shouted away, you? And he used the C word, which is the N word for women. He spells it out. Then he says, can you spell? You're a fat C word, F you. Then they play the next song. So it was reported that the Dickies got kicked off the tour for that incident, but the Warped Tour's Kevin Lyman released a statement on that following day saying that it was not the case, and in fact it was just conveniently their last day of the tour, so they were just off the tour for that reason. And so a lot of people are saying, I got this article actually from the LA Weekly, and the woman that wrote the article named Lena Licaro says that both sides are wrong about the Dickies offensive rant, which I will actually get into why she's saying that both sides are wrong. But Dan, you were saying that you think that what they did was right and it was fair. You're not saying it, but I'll let you say it. That's fine.
Okay, right. So, it's not necessarily that I felt what Leonard did was right. It's just that I felt that him getting upset, I could see why he got upset. I don't agree with how he acted. In fact, Leonard even said that he was ashamed of saying those things to her.
Yeah, people are saying they posted his apology, which I unfortunately don't have it quoted, but it was definitely a less than a really sincere apology whatsoever. It was it was what I like to see when I see people apologize. Like, you got your Bill Maher's, you got your Kathy Griffin's saying something, and then they immediately backtrack when they get in trouble. Right. In this case, he didn't do that, which I appreciate, because if you felt that way, now that apology, when you say it, feels like you're only saying it because you're in trouble or you're losing sponsorship. This apology felt like this is what happened. And he said some joke about it, but it felt like he didn't really feel sorry for what he did.
Exactly. The joke he said was, I shouldn't have called her a C. I should have called her, a-hole. Okay. Instead, so you're right. He didn't exactly regret what he did. He just regret how he went about it.
Right.
But okay, so why? Okay, so why I was like posting a lot of pro Dickie stuff on my Facebook was because, this is a perfect example of, punk rock being in an environment that's too PC, and that just shouldn't be the case, in my opinion, because the Dickies is a punk band, an old punk band that, never regretted the offensive things they said, and in fact, that's what got them popular, and Leonard's been doing this forever. And he's been behaving this way forever. In fact, I've seen them a couple times, and he said far worse things. In fact, I don't even want to say it, because he'll probably bleep the whole thing.
I got you.
So, But see, those environments, like the first show I saw them was at the Record Collector in Bordentown. So that's like a punk, record store. And then I saw them at the Brighton Bar. So those are like legit punk rock venues where you're not going to get like maybe too much of a mix of, like, you're not going to get the 14-year-old all ages like people there or something,
Okay.
So that's why I think more people like understood, like, okay, that's Leonard, like, ha ha ha, But I really don't like how Warped Tour has turned out. Like you were saying, how Warped Tour changed. It started in '95 as pure punk rock. In fact, it started on I think it was like a parking lot. I think it was the first Warped Tour or something like that.
Okay, around here, right?
Yeah,
in Camden. Yeah.
Right. And then and now it turned into this thing where, it's not about strictly punk rock anymore. And I understand that you have to change with the times because punk rock no longer really pays the bills anymore. It used to maybe in the 90s, but now, it might because like bands are established now, but still like you got to bring in the new genres to really get people interested in the festival again,
Mm-hmm.
But I think the attendance now, it's got like, it's got people like activists, like, at a punk show. I mean, with that, like I understand activism is a punk rock thing, but it's like, it's just weird because like Leonard, what he said wasn't something that he meant seriously. He jokes around a lot. Actually, we didn't talk about what he initially said to cause the uproar and why like that sign was thrown at him.
Okay, so they're not putting up on there. I haven't seen like what made.
So what
so
happened?
I feel like they just had to sign up. So you're saying he did something first, and they wrote the sign?
Yes,
okay,
correct. Yeah. So what happened was Leonard said, and this might strike a nerve with you because you have a teenage daughter, is that he actually said like, and again like. He's
it's just his words, not yours.
He's extremely inappropriate, and he's been known for being perverted for 40 years now.
Oh, I know what you're saying. He said, "You're a lovely audience, and I want to go down on all of you." Is that what you mean?
well, it's funny. That's something he says at every show.
Yeah.
But in this particular show, he said, "Man, so much like he didn't say anything about underage. I'm sorry. He said something like, so many teenage girls here. I just want to snort. Coke off of their, ass. Things like that. Now." Of course, like very inappropriate, very, very weird. But again, that's Leonard,
Okay.
and I've heard far worse from Leonard, and he's not like a predator, he's just a silly, really disgusting guy,
Yeah.
But see, it's like Warped Tour got to the point where, and I think it's also because now punks are now starting to have kids that are that old. So now I think a lot of people got soft, and the Warped Tour, since it's all ages, I think people overreacted for nothing, But again, if it was at a punk venue like the Brighton Bar, no one's going to say anything. No one's going to have an uproar. They're just going to laugh along with Leonard,
Yeah, but then that leads to my question, I hate to ambush you on this, but this is what I've been thinking then. So do you think bands, they should have a different agenda when they play festivals as opposed to when they're playing their own show? Because now you're getting different people seeing you that don't know your antics.
Exactly. Yeah. Like me personally, in my bands, I would say let's do that because, in my opinion, it's all about winning over the crowd so that they buy your record after the show and they want to see you again. But like a band like the Dickies, they're a legendary band. They don't gotta convince anyone anymore, and they don't gotta like really like please anyone anymore, So that's why I think a band like the Dickies, they act like themselves no matter what,
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's like a punk rock thing to kind of like always go against the grain and always kind of like cause an uproar. So there's that because they're the genuine, punk band. They're they started back in '77 when all that stuff started, So, when you get that old, you don't care about people's opinion.
Yeah.
But what I would do in my band, I would tailor the act to the audience, but that's me,
Okay.
So
That's why you're saying you think what the Dickies did, you don't agree with it, but they shouldn't be ostracized for it?
correct.
Okay.
Correct. Exactly. Exactly. Like I wouldn't have done what Leonard did, and I wasn't. Like I know Facebook can kind of get misconstrued, like with things like you never know what people's position is. You just see me posting stuff, but no, it wasn't this thing of like Leonard was right, like Leonard's the right person here. It was actually more of a thing like everyone needs to chill out. It was just like like words, and that's really all it was. Because I shared 2 posts from bands that agreed with the Dickies that they shouldn't have, like Noodles from The Offspring,
I saw that Noodles agrees as opposed to the lead singer of the Adolescents disagrees with it being
right.
He had a daughter and stuff. So it's
Right,
very
right.
paralleling. It's very
right.
parallel, not parallel. It's very jarring opinions. But let me ask you this question then. A lot of people are saying since we're not women, we have no idea the struggle they go through or how the words affect them. But let me ask you this then. Do you think let's say back in let's say 91, if the band Screwdriver, if you recall, they were this Nazi neo-Nazi band was playing a festival, and a black guy was walking in the audience and stuff like that. Do you think it's right that they would call him the N-word because that's what they're about?
Oh, okay. Yeah. No. That wouldn't be right now.
Okay.
That wouldn't be right.
That's what people are saying. It's the same thing. Like the C word to women and the N word to black people is kind of why this issue has been taken off. And that's why I think he's saying I shouldn't have said that word. I should have said a different offensive word. That's offensive to everybody. But exactly. I just want to know your opinion if you think one is wrong and the other is not, or I'm sorry, if you think one is acceptable for one band but not acceptable for another band, why do you have those 2 different opinions?
Okay, right. So with the Screwdriver example, I see that more as they're deliberately trying to cause trouble because even in 91, all races were accepted. I mean, there was prejudice towards some races, but generally speaking, whatever color you were, you got to go to to the same school, same bus, none of that weird segregation crap, So it's if Screwdriver did something like that, it's come on, man, get with the times. That's ridiculous saying that word. Even back then saying it was bad, but I'm saying
But punk rock used to be not used to be, but when moshing became a thing in the early 80s, there were a lot of Nazi bands coming out.
You're right.
So it's does it mean that a person should know? And that's an example, bad example, because now you're going to a show where it's neo-Nazism happening. So should a person well, I should avoid that because it's not obviously I'm not welcome there. Now it's we're talking we're talking about festivals where you don't know what you're getting into. So it's kind of you see it. So I'm thinking to myself, in my example, I think it's wrong if the band just singled them out and said, "Hey, everybody in the audience, spit on that black guy right there."
Right.
Now let's say same example, but this time the black guy went out of his way and went up to the crowd with a sign saying I don't want to use the Black Lives Matter example, but saying something like
white power sucks or something.
Yeah, something like that. Is he asking for it at that point, similar to this girl in this Dickie situation?
Oh man, that's interesting. I mean, yeah. If the show is comprised of all skin bands or neo-Nazi bands, then yes, he's asking for it only because the people in there are ignorant and they're not really thinking the right way, and he's trying to be rebellious and that's going to end up happening. I'm not saying that's right that he gets beaten up, but he should expect that there's going to be a backlash, you know?
So in this case, then with the Dickies, if a woman went to a Dickies show, they should expect there's going to be a backlash if they open their mouths or something like that, or maybe not. Maybe Dickies show they might randomly say it. I don't know if they always do it or if they just do it when they're being provoked.
Right. So no. If someone were to go to Warped Tour, they shouldn't be worried about anything. They should have a good time and realize it's an all ages place. So it's again, like, I don't agree with what Leonard did, and even he thinks he should have went about it another way. But see, this is more of a situation where I think the band did, like Leonard did, make a mistake here. He shouldn't have done that. It's just my whole reaction to the thing is that it shouldn't have been one of these viral internet things. I really think that it shouldn't have been a big deal. Is my whole thing.
Okay.
You know, that it shouldn't have spread on the internet like wildfire like it did. Like, I could understand people at the gig talking about it, like, oh man, that was weird that Leonard did that.
Yeah.
But this thing about it made news, that was unnecessary in my opinion. You know?
You're living in the wrong time, my friend. Now that's where you're going back to when the Warped Tour first started, where whoever was at that city would be the only one talking about it. Now, you do something, everyone in the whole planet's going to know.
That's true. And see, that was another reason why I was a little bit upset about it, was because, you know, and I guess this always happens with punks, is that when it's not their thing anymore and it becomes the world's thing, they get a little bit upset, you know?
Yeah.
I think because this was Warped Tour, that's what also got me a little bit, like, pissed off. Like, oh, man, like, you know, Warped Tour doesn't know what's punk anymore, you know? So, yeah. But you're right. That I got to get with the times. Like, this is just how things are now.
Yeah.
You know?
Basically what punk rock was, and it still should be, is just, you know, breaking down the walls of the establishment and also making change. And I think what people are trying to say is we need to have a different perspective on how we treat all races and all, like, you know, genders in at punk shows. So if they want to, like, if punk rock's all about change, then that's what really that people are saying when they side when they side against the Dickies and side with that girl that was at the promoting, like, you know, women's rights at that feminism at that show. Now, for my opinion of this whole thing, I think, like, when it comes to, like, freedom of speech, I think you should be able to say whatever you want and deal with the repercussions of it. So I think with this whole thing happening, I totally agree with everyone reacting to it. And if people want to, like, boycott their CDs and burn their records and stuff like that, that's just, and all the sponsors for the Dickies, they can't play anymore in these, like, festivals because, you know, everyone's knocking on their door. I think that's what they have to understand is going to happen, and I think that's fine. Yeah. So it's just like, if you want to say what you want to say, then that's fine, and that goes with anything I've been saying. So I'm not squeamish about all the racial things people say or the sexist things people say. I'm like, yeah, that's messed up what you said, and now you got to deal with the consequences. That's fine, but you have the right to say whatever you want to say. That's what I think. And I see what you're saying. The same thing that, you know, you're not. I thought reading your comments before, you're like, yeah, you know, they messed up his flow and he should have said what he said. And I see you're saying, like, no, he shouldn't have said what he said. But if they want to, like, you know, do, like, that whole cause that girl is with, if you want to, like, make changes, like, what you did was basically not the way to go about it, because then it's just going to, like, antagonize him, and it's on the borderline of heckling. And that's the whole thing. So
it is.
That's really what I see what you're saying, and I hope you guys out there, you know, have an opinion of this whole situation as well, and want to let us know in the comments what you think of the whole Dickies scenario. If you don't know about it, do some research as well, and we'll post that up on the. We'll post actually a link to this article I found as well, and yeah, thank you, Dan, for that. I appreciate that. Man. Hold on a second,
of course.
Now, I'm going to. So, Dan, you like 311 at all? You heard of them?
Actually, I do. I do like 311. I only know like the only record I have is that, like, 93 to 2003, the greatest hits record.
Okay.
And that's it. I never owned anything else by them, so I only know their hits. But I do like them as a band. So.
Well, I should have asked you then. I didn't know, because I actually went to see them a couple days ago. They played I won tickets to their show.
Oh, sweet.
And it was a free show. Basically, there was free tickets at the iHeartRadio Theater in New York City. And what's actually interesting about this is I don't remember entering a contest at all. So it's really? Just like, so like I got an email saying, like, congratulations, you won tickets to 311. I'm like, awesome. Like, and then they said it's at iHeart Theater. I'm like, I don't even know what that is. I don't know what that is.
Where is that actually?
It's in New York City, like kind of south.
Okay.
South of Canal Street. But what was interesting about it was like I couldn't find anyone to go with me because it was like they tell you on Friday and the show is on Wednesday, like short notice. Like it's like, all right, the show's Wednesday. If you can't go, let us know. I'm like, I'm going. It's a free show.
Hell yeah.
I don't care if anyone's going with me. So I trudged out there to New York City, and what's basically interesting is before I went, the iHeartRadio posted like their set list already online, and it's like, what song do you want to hear? What's your favorite? What song are you so excited to hear? It's 11 tracks, and it's like 6 songs from the new album that they put out, Mosaic, and 5 hit songs. And it's like, then I was like, because I've been trying to like listen to everything, because I've been listening through 11 since like, I would say 94, and
cool.
I kind of don't buy their albums anymore since Transistor came out in 97, so I just listened to it here and there.
Right.
So I knew like a couple albums I don't know, so I'm like, I gotta listen to all their stuff, so at least I know some songs. And when they post that out, now I know what to listen to. I was like, pause on the thing. I'm like, wait a minute, do I even want to go to this now? And I was like, it's still free. I'll just go. Whatever. I'll be in a. They said that the club actually at iHeart Theater was it fits only 220 people, so I'm like, it's gonna be that small, and it's like they say only playing an hour set. From 10 to 11, so I was like, is it worth my time? I'm like, yeah, I'll go. I'll check it out. Went out there, and what was interesting about it is like, it brings a lot of like, I'll tell you about the fans in a second, but I think 311 is like the popular like band like the Dead or kind of like the Grateful Dead or like or Fish,
Sublime, right?
Where like almost bands will follow them everywhere,
right?
To hear them play like jam stuff. But 311 is like a popular band. But when I went to see them at this venue, there were people outside the line that have been in like 30 shows, 40 shows, like since they've been around. And they even went to this one. They went to a show like a couple days ago before that, and they went to like then they're going to like Asbury, so they're like diehard fans, and I'm just like. Then I realized, dude, I'm a fucking 311 poser. I just I don't even like listen to them that much anymore, and I won't follow them as much. And I'm like, oh, they were better back in the day, and now it's like
right. So exactly, you got the fans that like know everything.
Yeah,
them,
and
right?
they just I asked them the same question. What do you think of the new album? It's awesome, man. It's like, you know what? I feel like this opinion is biased.
right.
I don't know why I'm wasting my breath. But get in there, and they're like, they have like actually they come out to play, and it's like you're literally like in this tiny room. Seeing like this band that you only usually see at amphitheaters and like or the summer stages and stuff like that. They're playing a smaller thing, and what was funny about it is they had the
so this was like standing, like
standing.
Oh, nice.
So it's like a standing like club. That's small. Awesome. It's really small. Get your bracelet, you go in. And what was funny about it was like they have. This was not funny. I'll take it back. In between every song, like for the most part, they had the radio host come on, and they're like, "Oh, we're streaming this live on YouTube at iHeartRadio.com, and you can go get the app at iHeartRadio. Let's talk with 311." And they're about to play a song. They play a song, and after the song's over, they have to all stop. He comes back up, interviews them again. Every time the song would play, he would stop.
So was it filmed? It was probably one of those things where it got filmed.
Yes.
Oh, so it's probably probably did it for the internet, right?
Yeah, it's a radio. Basically, it's like a radio show, basically.
Okay.
But iHeartRadio is like kind of like more geared towards like the internet now. So I was like,
of course, right.
So it was jarring to me a bit because, and also the whole audience, because you're rocking out to like Beautiful Disaster,
right? Or
like they played the hit song Down.
Right, Down, yeah.
And then it stops, and he has to talk to them, and it's asked these inane questions like, oh, you're having so much fun, so tell us about this album. Just generic ass question, and the audience is getting pissed off. And I remember a question he said that was funny was he's got that radio like host like voice, that corny voice that that people do. If you ever seen Saturday Night Live when Jimmy Fallon would do like the C105, and then I went back. Blah, 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 blah. So he was talking like that, and the funniest thing he said was, like, I see, like, you got Nick the singer, and also S.A. you sing too. It's like, it's funny because it's like when you hear the albums, you guys sound like it's almost like you're listening to like two different voices, but you sound the same. And the guy in the audience like, you are listening to two different voices, idiot. And it's like. So it's like the audience is getting restless, but luckily they only did it.
Right.
He only did that for 3 songs, and he stopped. And he's like, they're gonna play like 5 songs in a row, and I'll come back. So it's like, all right, cool. plays like some new stuff from the new album. Like they played a song called I know they song called Big Mistake or something like that. But they play another song that I actually have footage of, which you're gonna see right now. And this song's got a badass like a guitar solo at the end, and nice. I probably one of my favorite songs on the album, which, check that out. But also they playing like a lot of old stuff, and I really appreciate this band because, despite that this whole radio show, I think they really come original with their music, And their fans at the same time, very dedicated fans, and it was a great experience that with like the fans stuff like that. It was worth every penny for free,
Nice.
So I would say like definitely, you gotta. Have you ever seen 311 live before?
Actually, no, I never have.
Really?
And it's a band I wouldn't mind seeing live, So
Well, they played yesterday at Stone Pony, but I guess you missed out on that.
Okay.
I, on the other hand, have seen them live, and they actually plug this. They have a 311 day where every 2 years they play like New Orleans or something like that, or Las Vegas. I went to New Orleans and they play like a 5-hour set, and they're playing deep cuts, stuff like that.
Oh shit!
And once I experienced that, I'm like, I'm never going back to like the summer tour thing. Like not that they don't play, they actually play different stuff every show.
Right, but
so I appreciate that
Yeah.
that they're not like there's a lot of bands out there like they like this is our set list. We're going to play this. They like mix up intensely like every show, but they play the hits and they still play other stuff. But you're only seeing them play for like an hour and a half.
Sure.
Once you see them play for 5 hours, it's like this is not worth it to pay like $40 to see the ticket price and all that stuff to see that. So I'm like, I'm never going back. But when this came along, I'm like, it's free. I'm seeing 11 songs. Why not? So yeah, I think you should experience that and then start to move up to like bigger things. They do like a cruise where they play. They sail out somewhere and they play like every night. And I was like, all right, that's my bucket list for the next thing.
Nice.
I only do 311 days and cruises from now on.
Nice.
And if it's anything less than that, I don't want to pay a dime except for my travel fees. But check out 311, a great band to see live. So I think we covered everything, and we had a pretty quick show, like I said. So, anything else going on with your life before we get out of here?
Well, actually, I wanted to talk about like the dedicated fans, like for 311.
Okay, yeah.
I noticed that that's typical for bands like 311, like you were saying, like Grateful Dead, bands like that.
Yeah.
I noticed that with like a lot of reggae bands, like and 311 fits in that category. I think like
they're kind of like the Dave Matthews Band, where like they don't. But the difference is, all the other bands we mentioned, they jam on stage. So it's like I can see why people would follow them everywhere. But we're talking like bands that play like strictly the same, the standard version of the album, and then but I think 311 like it's cool because it's like I don't see why people follow like a lot of other bands that don't do that. Like if Less Than Jake, for example, played like Starland Ballroom, which is here in New Jersey, and then they play like Webster Hall, you're gonna get the same set list. So I'm like, why are you going to both shows? Right. But I think if you're gonna see 311 all through the Tri-State area, you're gonna get a different show every night. So I understand why they do it.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
But there's just something about reggae where, or the jam, genres where, everyone's a diehard of the band, and I think it really has something to do with the culture where it's really chilled out and like, and things like that, because the music promotes like togetherness, not like punk rock where it's really more antisocial, really,
Yeah, to be honest, with that 311 show, I was I was surprised, like waiting in line outside of iHeartRadio, you still smell weed.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
And then once I got in there, I'm like,
brings people together.
You get in there, there's no bar in there, and it's like it's so small, and it's a radio show. You got the cameras like actually in the crowd, and you see the guy in front of the stage like pivoting back and forth on the camera. So I'm like, no one's gonna smoke anything in here, but sure enough, you can smell it.
Yeah,
it's like they don't play around with this stuff, and it's like for 11 songs, it's like this is a lot of dedication, but at the same time, I think if it was like you had to pay to get in, people wouldn't have been such a big turnout. But it's like you win in a free contest, and I never won anything free before. That's the one reason I went to it. I went to the show, and ironically, what happened was as I was trying to surf through my emails to make sure there was no issue when I went to the show, I found the email that was how I won, and I completely forgot. Like, because like what happened was, email came to me and it's like, you know, you want to see 311 at iHeartRadio, just put in I want to see 311 in your name. I'm like, sure, why not? Boom. Afterthought, because I don't win things, and that's why it was so out of my mind that when I won, I was like, I forgot all about that. Yeah. Because it was so effortless to, you know, put that in there. That's the word of today, you guys. Effortless. We use that word a lot, or I did anyway. So, yeah, thanks for listening to the show, and obviously, thanks to the crowd for being so quiet. You guys can say something now. Thank you. Now let's get out of here, and before that, I want to give a big thanks to Dan for coming out, and thank you for helping me with these reviews, and thank you for getting through this like rough first show back, everything like that. Hopefully, if you come back again, everything will be more professional. Even though I think it was pretty professional.
Yeah, it's pretty professional, man. Yeah,
all the beers we got laying around here and stuff. And thank you guys for listening, and also thank you for being patient with me. And we will actually have some more videos coming up for you in a few weeks. And I have a guest coming in next week to review a metal album. So maybe we might make a podcast of that, maybe not. Well, it depends how much content we have. So we're going to be taking it by step, baby steps, like Bob Wiley from What About Bob? We'll do it baby step. Baby step. You ever seen that movie before?
Of course. I love that movie.
Baby stepping on this show.
That's right. Baby steps, Bob. Baby steps.
So with that said, let's get out of here. Let me give you guys the outro music, and I'll tell you how to get in contact with us. So first, if you want to go to our website, nghabitradio.net. Go to our contact section and type in your question or comment there. Also, you can go to our Gmail account, our email, which is njhabitradio@gmail.com. Type in your question there. We are also on Facebook, facebook.com/njhabitradio. Make sure when you find us, you like us on Facebook. We are also, of course, on YouTube. Search Hybrid Radio on YouTube, and when you find us, hit that subscribe button as fast as you can. And also, you can follow us on Twitter at NJ Hybrid Radio. Until next time, this has been Jarrell saying have a good week and good month or whatever. When we come back, take care. Bye-bye.